Welcome to the most listened to golf in the world, the Fairways of Life show, on air, online, and around the world, with the most candid interviews, unforgettable stories, taking you beyond the ropes. Here's your host, New York Times best-selling author, Matt Adams.
Thankful, just thankful that I was a part of it, thankful that I accomplished something that I've always wanted to accomplish as a kid. Gratitude and thanks.
Gratitude and thanks is the way that Bryson DeChambeau summed up what he accomplished in the week that was. Welcome into the Fairways of Life show. Delighted to have your company. Matt Adams here with you. We have Dom and Andrew behind the glass today. John put together a ton of sound that we're going to be getting to many of those elements in today's show. We are live. You can probably see it over my shoulder here. The fan shop at the Travelers Championship. The range is right over here. The driving range, the practice ground, the putting green is right here in front of me, and we are here all week broadcasting live on tomorrow's show when we are coast to coast on Golf Channel 2. As I told you, this is the time of year that we're kind of dodging and weaving around programming, because this morning the re-air of Live From is on Golf Channel during our time slot. We'll be live from coast to coast on that medium as well tomorrow. And on tomorrow's show, I want to feature more of Bryson addressing the media. Maybe you caught some pieces of it, but you didn't catch it with our team, John and Andrew and Dom, kind of picking what we think are the best of and then reacting off of that. We have so much to react to with what Bryson has accomplished. And I want to get into the conversation, and you guys can answer to it on our YouTube page, the Fairways of Life YouTube page. And I'll bring Dom in here in just a second and ask him the question of the day, because I am curious about what the flavor is of. And again, forgive me if you've already heard this debated, and whether it causes you to roll your eyes and whether it causes you to embrace it as a legitimate discussion point. I think it is the latter, which is how much of this was a victory that Bryson went out and captured and did what he had to do, which I think he did. How much of this is about what Rory failed to do with 3 bogeys in his 4 closing holes? And remember, he had to scramble and get up and down at 17. I think both of those discussions have merit, and I'm curious what your reaction is to all of those. But I'll bring Dom in here for a second. Dom, what an incredible U.S. Open. I as you know, we were at Pinehurst in the U.S. Open this week, had to travel up here yesterday to be ready and set up and do all the technical tests for our broadcast here from the Travelers Championship. But I got to see every minute of the leaders at the U.S. Open. I thought it was wildly crazy entertaining. What was your reaction to it?
I can't remember the last time I was that nervous watching a golf tournament.
Really?
And I didn't really have a dog in the race, but the pressure that Bryson and Rory were under at the end there, like those last 8 holes, the haymakers, from like the 9th hole to the 14th hole, going back and forth between them, and then the struggle down the stretch, right? I mean, neither of them birdied the last 4 holes. I mean, it was a struggle coming in. It was like, who can hang on? And it just felt, it felt so much like what I want golf to feel like in the major championships. It felt like what I wanted it to feel like. It was pins and needles. It was excruciating pressure. And that's the U.S. Open pressure we all want, right? It wasn't kind of like what you're going to see this week at the Travelers Championship, where guys can go really low. They can go on stretches like Kevin Streelman making 100 birdies in a row, and Jim Furyk shooting in the 50s and all this other stuff. It's the total opposite of that. It is, can you make par when it matters? Can you make par from a bunker? Can you make par from the trees? Can you make a 4-footer, a 6-footer that's going, you're putting on marble? So, I mean, I'm almost speechless, which says a lot coming from me. But I was a nervous train wreck watching, an absolute nervous train wreck. I was when we were on when Rory was teeing off 18, and Bryson had struck a shot on 17 into the green. I was visibly shaking. It's like this is too much. I can't handle it. handle it.
Did
It
you
was
have
awesome.
the same?
It was
Did you
awesome.
have the same sense? But first of all, to the comparison you were making to the U.S. Open here at the Travelers, I love that contrast. That's one of the reasons why I love this Travelers so much. I liken it to a playoff game in the NHL, right? Which the score is probably going to be 2-1 a lot of the times. Or do you like to have a high-scoring game, maybe regular season, and it's awesome because the game ends up being 6-5? The Travelers Championship is the 6-5. This is about going low. This setup, this golf course, TPC River Highlands, is your anti-U.S. Open, right? Which I love, and I love that they're back-to-back, so we see that kind of contrast. We've got a drivable par 4 here and the par 4 15th, which is really fun and really exciting. So I love the way that played itself out. But the question I was going to ask you, Dom, was, did you have the same sense when after Rory had bogeyed 15 and 16 and scrambled at 17, did you not have a sense that trouble was lurking at 18? And then he hooks it left at 18. It was like, when it comes to Rory McIlroy, we saw the old demons that we hadn't seen in a while. Rory had been 496 for 496 this season from 3 feet and in. Think about that for a second. But then at 18, when he loses it with a driver, he tends to lose it left, right? And you had Rory McIlroy once again facing that distance that was the distance that I like to say tries men's souls. I remember Gary Player telling me one time that you relive your sins over a 3-foot putt in a major. Now, Rory had varying distances there anyways. There's Justin Ray's stat that I was just quoting for you, which was amazing. But I don't know, Dom. So I go back to the question I was going to ask you was, I had a sense, I was telling it to my wife because we were both watching it together on speakerphone, believe it or not. So how to share TV time together when you're not with your spouse. And I was saying to her, I just have a feeling that something's going to happen here to Rory that's going to allow Bryson to kind of get him at the end, which is precisely what took place. Did you have that sense of fate with Rory, or did you think that Rory was going to be able to hold it together, maybe get in the playoff?
That specific question is why I was so on edge. I had no idea whether Rory or Bryson were going to be able to keep it together. Who is going to keep it together? And that's where the pressure came. That's where the nervousness, the excitement, that's what we all want. But I want to spend, I would like to talk about Rory in detail. We've got a lot of stuff, but I don't want to do that right now. I want to focus on Bryson for a little bit here.
Fair enough. But
he won the U.S. Open. It's his second U.S. Open, and I wanted to show a couple things, Matt. I wanted to show.
Hold on. So before we get into that, Tom, I want to know what your question of the day is, so we don't forget it, because that's what this whole thing started with.
Well, the question of the day is about Rory, but that's why I want to give a chance for people to respond to my question before we talk about Rory. The question is, can Rory McIlroy overcome another heartbreaking loss, or is this the end? Is it the end? Are his nerves fried? Is it too much? Is all of the weight of having the PGA Tour on his shoulders, the runner-up finishes in major championships? Remember what happened at the Open Championship? Is it just too much? And so I gave 3 options. One is he's done. He's done. It's over. This is it. The other one is he'll be fine. It's golf. He'll be fine. And then I gave a third option is, do you care? Maybe you don't care. Maybe this doesn't matter. Why are you asking me this question? So that's the question of the day. So we'll let people respond to that, and we'll come back to that in like a half an hour and see where we're at. But, okay. Andrew, there's a couple things I wanted to go through with Bryson here. There's some sound I wanted to play, talking more about the future of golf that I think is fascinating in how this victory plays a role in things. But I wanted to first put up his scorecard, and I wanted to ask you a very straightforward question, Matt. Andrew's going to put up Bryson's final round scorecard here. What impressed you the most? What was the stretch of golf? And don't give me a cop-out. Don't say, the up and down on 18. When you look at this scorecard, and we know what Rory was doing from like the 9th hole to the 13th hole, the run that Rory went on. Yeah. What right there impressed you the most? I have an answer, but I'm curious what yours is.
Yeah, I mean, just to reiterate, it's not a cop-out to say the up and down at 18, because that is historic in proportion to what took place. But that's not where I'm going to go. I'm allowing that if that is someone's answer to that question, 100% would support it, no doubt. For me, it's what he did at 13. For me, the way that he made birdie at 13, being off angle such as he was, what Bryson kept doing, the tee shot that he had at 17 is another example of it. What Bryson kept doing all week was he kept taking on the challenges. He kept taking on the razor-thin margin of failure in the moment, which could equate to failure in the big picture, and he was pulling off what he needed to do. I like the way that Bryson held himself together going out and won over on the front nine. And then when Rory started on his tear, Bryson never panicked. There was so much to be impressed with, but as to specifics, what he did at 13 in that birdie there was really impressive to me. What's yours?
My answer was going to be his tee ball at 13, which plays into what you were saying. But I'll give you another answer. It's kind of like 1A. The up and down at 8 when he was long and left in that swale where John Daly made 100 and he got up and down. On the broadcast, I think Bowen said that's one of the 10 best short game shots under major championship pressure I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. And remember, he hit it right into the junk off the tee. He was having problems finding the fairways all day long, but he had to hit sort of like a try at least to hit sort of a cut through the trees to get down there towards the 8th green. And he'd been hitting just sweeping draws all day. And while it didn't cut as much as he wanted, he got down into some area where he was around the green. And then to nip it clean like that and drain that putt. And he had that huge fist pump and he turned to the crowd. I wonder, Matt, if that was the moment when he turned to the crowd, when he drained that putt, when he was like, I got it. I can do this. I have it in me to do this.
I think that Bryson DeChambeau was using the crowd for fuel in as much as they were using him for fuel as well. There was a real connection there. You could feel it on the grounds throughout the course of the week. And to Dom's point of sound, I am going to use a sound clip here about the future of the game because I think it's telling. And then we're going to come back and get into more of this Bryson DeChambeau. What is it about this Bryson that's different perhaps than the Bryson that we thought we knew previously? And the reason why I'm going to approach it from that standpoint is I realize that there are some that are out there. They're so tired to hearing about the new Bryson, but I still go back to what we do here, which is the why. What changed and why did it change? But first of all, to Dom's mentioning of Bryson on the use of social media for him, the growth of the game, the future of the game of golf. Here's that clip of Bryson.
I hope so. I mean, my mission is to continue to expand the game, grow the game globally and domestically, and YouTube has really helped me accomplish some of that. And consequently, I think people have seen who I am on YouTube, which has been fantastic because then I get to play off of it. The content, it just feeds itself out here, and they just say things that make me interact and engage. And when's the next junior club set coming out? You know, another video of the junior club set, and so I'm just able to play off of that. And it's a direct conversations to people that truly engage with what I'm doing, and it's such an awesome platform for me to show who I truly am. And so those fans out there really helped push me out there today. Even when stuff wasn't going well, I'm just looking on the screen back there. I had nothing there. No business even trying to go for that. But you know me, I don't play boring golf. And, again, even though I hit in the bunker, the fans were still chanting my name. So inspired me to get that one up and down. If I'm to be quite frank, I hope we can figure things out quickly. I hope this can bridge the gap between a divided game. All I want to do is entertain and do my best for the game of golf and execute and provide some awesome entertainment for the fans. That's what, from at least what I can tell, that's what the fans want, and they deserve that. And you can say what's happened in the past is, you were part of the reason. This is let bygones be bygones. Let's go figure it out. Let's figure out how to bring this game, this amazing game that creates so much positivity, back to where it belongs.
All right, Bryson addressing the media about various subjects, including what he's doing on YouTube. I know today many of you around the world are watching us on YouTube. It's a medium, obviously, that we believe in as well, because you can get what you want, when you want it, where you want it, how you want it. And Bryson was able to show, as he keeps saying, really show people who he is. Okay, well, what was the divide between who he is and who we thought he was? Right, and how that all played out. I want to get to that when we come back. We want you guys engaged, so go to our Fairways of Life YouTube channel. You can see the discussion board there. You can see Dom's question of the day, which, as he noted, we'll get to in a little while because he focused it on Rory. We're still going to focus on Bryson. Don't forget, on tomorrow's show, we're going to get a lot more of Bryson addressing the media, but you're going to get it in kind of the Fairways of Life, quote, best of breakdown, the pieces of his press conference that we thought were the most telling for a variety of reasons. And we'll break down, as I mentioned, from there, why we think so. So we'll get into those details when we come back on the Fairways of Life show. We are live from TPC River Highlands for this Travelers Championship. The Fairways of Life show is presented by the PGA Tour Superstore. They are the #1 golf retailer from coast to coast, where you can shop with the pros. And that is so very, very important. I believe it's their people that truly have made them #1. You want your game to be #1? Then you got to work with the best. The PGA Tour Superstore is precisely that. It is your happy place.
PGA Tour Superstore pros aren't born. They're made. Every January, hundreds of associates talk to the top manufacturers, learn about the latest clubs, test the newest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together, hit over 100,000 balls, all so they can get you the perfect fit.
In Ireland, golf is more than just a game. Come and experience our world-famous links courses and our world-famous parkland courses, all set alongside world-famous scenery. And visit our world-famous historic sites. And while you're here, enjoy our world-famous hospitality. Fill your heart with Ireland at ireland.com/golf.
Ben Hogan Golf Equipment is back. Established in 1953, we serve golfers who demand excellence of their equipment. Designed by the game's best engineers, forged in the world's best foundries, and built to order in the USA. Don't settle for off-the-rack disappointment. Elevate your game with custom clubs at direct-to-consumer pricing. Exclusively at benhogangolf.com. That's benhogangolf.com.
The Gen 6 iron is a culmination of everything that we have learned as a team, the absolute best golf club I've ever hit. It's something special. Say hello to the new PXG Gen 6 iron. The longest, most accurate irons we've ever made. They go higher and farther than any iron that I have hit to date, and they're so easy to hit. Super excited for the consumer to try these. They're gonna love them.
PXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Baseball? Nah. Football? Done it. I think I'm gonna go after PGA Tour.
Playing on the PGA Tour is not easy. But you know what is easy? Hitting the 524 series from Tour Edge.
Hitting linebackers and home runs used to be easy.
Out here, you're gonna need all the easy you can get. Introducing the 524 series from Tour Edge. The easiest clubs you'll ever hit. Even the best players in the world can use a little easy.
I like the sound of that. Look out, PGA Tour.
Pound for pound, nothing comes close.
I was driving to visit my friends. Had my dog Max with me. Then, out of nowhere, Alex from Travelers called me about my claim, but all I could think about was finding Max. So he helped get the word out.
We've got a lost dog alert. A brown and white Australian Shepherd mix. He goes by Max.
Hey! I can't thank Alex enough.
Welcome back to the Fairways of Life show the day after the U.S. Open, Matt. I wanted to take you through just some social media reaction. Unsurprisingly, of course, DeChambeau himself tweets, "Make it 2," he says. And his team, remember, he's the captain of Team Crushers on the Live Golf Tour. And they're also, look at that, they're tweeting, they're the 2024 U.S. Open champion. The U.S. Open and Pinehurst Resort also sending out some congratulatory stuff, which is, of course, wonderful. And even Phil Mickelson, sort of the face of the Live Tour, especially at the beginning, getting into the mix. Bryson is a stallion. What a thrilling U.S. Open, an amazing performance. Congrats, et cetera, et cetera. And then you mentioned a little bit about the interaction, Matt, with the crowd, the fuel he got from the crowd. Well, one of the things he did is in his post-round speech on the green, he said, I'm going to let all the fans touch this trophy, which sounded a bit odd, but here you go. He's letting all the fans touch this trophy. And even more so, Andrew, play the thing from Sky Sports. It shows you how interactive he was.
Here comes Bryson with the trophy right now.
This is Sky Laura Davies. Dave Laura Davies.
To the crowd right here.
Look at the right there. Look, Bryson comes running. There he comes. Hey, look. And then he comes and interrupts a live broadcast. And he says, hold on, I'm out of here. I'm gonna do what I promised. Watch this. And then he goes and he's letting all the fans touch the trophy there. So I think his interactivity with the crowd, Matt, not just in these images that we're showing, and you can see the people joyfully in the background just on their feet in excitement, but I think throughout the tournament, from round one on, even in the practice rounds, he seemed just so engaged with the crowd. A lot of autographs, a lot of high fives. There was a lot of stuff on social media after the round last night. We're talking 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. He was in the dark, still talking to fans, still signing autographs. So he's not just walking the walk, he's talking the talk, Matt.
Very, very cool stuff. Very, very cool stuff indeed. Hey, Andrew, would you replay it for us? I just think it's so cool. The shot that he hit from the bunker and the winning putt. This is so incredible. I mean, who out there, who thought that he could get it this close? Right, when I was looking at it, I'm thinking to myself, if he can get this within 10 or 20 feet, it would be a good shot. And then when he hit that putt, and he kind of crouched down and like flexed his arms, and the putter was up in the air. That photo that you have, Andrew, is that going to be the photo that we remember? You know, because we had the repose of Payne Stewart in 1999. That's the shot that everybody remembers from 1999. Is this the image that will be forevermore? Or will it be the exact same timing, the exact same position, but the wider shot with more of the grandstand behind him? I mean, as we were going through this, as Dom was playing a lot of the social media reaction, as he played the Sky Sports video, as Bryson was going through the crowd and letting people touch the trophy, and then we saw this, the entire time I'm getting chills running up my spine because of the history that we were able to see. Which brings me back to what I promised you guys that we would talk about, which is Bryson. You know, the way that he was talking to the media before we took that break and talking about what he was calling the future of the game, obviously the future of the professional game, and the prospect of the PGA Tour and Live Golf coming together. And I'd be remiss if I wasn't honest with you that it was the talk of the media center down at the U.S. Open. There is wide speculation, in some cases conviction, amongst very credible media sources that as soon as tomorrow, we are going to hear information from the PGA Tour and from Live about some agreements that they may have come to along the lines of this process, even if, however it's defined. I've heard various definitions of what people saying it's going to be, including one of them being that an agreement in principle of the two organizations becoming one. We shall see as the next 24, 48 hours come together, because the general consensus that I was hearing from these people who are convinced that the information that they're getting, and much of this information in terms of being honest with you guys and sourcing, is coming from agents that have players on both tours. And so they're coming to this information. So they are convinced that the tours, plural, did not want to announce the significance of what they have accomplished to this point in their negotiations, because they didn't want to take any of the glory away from the U.S. Open and what the USGA accomplished this week. And I think that's very, very fair. I thought Pinehurst number 2, just as an aside here for a second, was an absolutely brilliant stage for the U.S. Open. There are people out there right now, as I say that, and they're going to disagree with me and say, no, there's quirkiness to that golf course, etc. I get that. Right? What I liked about it was I didn't sense that the quirkiness, if you call it that, of Pinehurst number 2 was due to setup decisions. Pinehurst number 2 is Pinehurst number 2 because of the anomaly of the sand belt that runs through that part of the state that goes back to the Ice Age. What you essentially had in many ways was a links golf course that's inland. Right? Even saying it's odd to discuss because that's much of what we were seeing in terms of the way that the ball released and what you had to do in certain circumstances and what would happen accordingly. But to the point of Bryson DeChambeau, because I'm sure you guys want to comment on this, and I'm going to bring Dom in to share with me some of the responses that you guys have on this day after. There was the Bryson that we thought that we knew on the PGA Tour. And as you guys know, I've always been supportive of Bryson because I've always thought that Bryson was foremost when it came to the PGA Tour more misunderstood than he was the person that people were trying to find him as being. And let me explain to you what I mean by that. I think when Bryson came out on tour, and I think it was a maturity thing, I think that Bryson immediately thought that he was going to be the most popular kid in school, right? Everybody loves the long ball, getting bulked up, the protein shakes that soon we find out that the amount that he was consuming was too much. It was causing him to be dizzy and not feel well, etc. The speed training they was doing, aside from the damage that it did to his left wrist, which was significant, aside from we found out yesterday and the day before that it caused tears and ligaments in his hips. All of that was, I think, Bryson trying to play the role of the person that Bryson thought everyone saw him as and or everybody wanted him to be. So that Bryson, I think, and again, I say it, I don't say it as a judgment, I say it as a maturity thing. I think that Bryson was trying to play a role. Remember the Bryson that got into it a little bit with the cameraman saying, look, I'm just out here to entertain. You heard that quote. He believes in it. That's who he's always been. But the camera was right in his face, et cetera, et cetera. You're damaging my brand, all the rest. That was the Bryson that people like to say. The phrase that I heard most often about Bryson in those days was, he just doesn't get it. He just doesn't get it. This Bryson gets it. This is a Bryson, I believe, that is no longer trying to play a role. That Bryson formerly got on the nerves of a lot of people because when he got to that schoolyard, to continue with that metaphor, there were other alpha dogs already there. And some of them didn't like the way that Bryson made the show about Bryson. Namely, what happened with Brooks Koepka. Right? Your perspective is your perspective. If you think that Brooks' opinion of Bryson was correct or incorrect there, all I can tell you is that Bryson in those days, Brooks wasn't the only one that annoyed his fellow players. And so Bryson gets, call it caught, if you will, but he did it in front of a camera, the rolling of the eyes, blah, 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 and then the reaction that came with it. I felt then, as I do now, that the way that Brooks reacted to Bryson was, again, continuing that metaphor, schoolyard bullying. Was Bryson perfect? No, he wasn't perfect. Did Bryson handle himself with the utmost of propriety in the moment all the time? Was Bryson at times subject to diva-like behavior and petulance? Yes, he was. Okay, admit it. But the way that Brooks reacted to it, getting the crowd engaged, calling him Brooksy, et cetera, some of his sponsors actually got involved in it. It didn't become fun. It became an overreaction. And we knew that it was beating up on Bryson. It felt very much like piling on bullying to me. right? And then Bryson ends up going to Live. Brooks ends up, interesting enough, going to Live. They seemingly have found a balance between each other, but then Bryson found his outlets. He found a way that he could be, as he put it, him. And YouTube was very much a part of that. Now, in balance to that, this was part of what Phil Mickelson was complaining about from the very beginning, saying they can't even put things out there because of the way the tour owns their rights. So in the prospect of perhaps the tours taking a further step towards, I'll call it a reconciliation if you want, or a union, will that mean that players like Bryson will continue to be able to generate content that is connecting with millions? I believe that engagement very much led to what we saw this past weekend from Bryson DeChambeau. I believe that Bryson is, maybe for the first time as a touring professional, comfortable in his own skin, comfortable being who he truly is. The joy that we saw on Sunday evening from Bryson, his willingness to get engaged, the fact that he is an entertainer by his own account, he enjoys playing that role. I think it's tremendous. So we have seen significant changes in Bryson. What I'm suggesting to you is I don't think that we've seen a change in the core essence of who Bryson is. I think we've seen a revelation of that. I think that's who he's always been. He just didn't know how to translate that from the person that he was on the PGA Tour that came with expectation, it came with assumptions, it came with even some senses of entitlement, to the person that he is now that's kind of gone through the valleys of all that and is rebuilt. Is Bryson DeChambeau right now, in your opinion, not the most popular player in the game? Think about what I just said when you reflect on just a couple of years ago. But is Bryson right now the most popular player in the game? Is that a fair assessment? And was it not classic sport that as I asked you that question, you reflect that he was in the battle down the stretch with Rory McIlroy, who probably, in fairness, I would guess would be the player that if I'd asked that same question 24 or 48 hours ago, that you may have had a conviction to go, no, it's this guy. But then think about what we saw from Bryson. The video that Andrew was just playing for you there, the way that Bryson was engaging with the audience. It wasn't just like, hey, I accomplished what I came here to accomplish. See ya. I'm out of here. He took the time to go back and express that gratitude, that thanks that we opened today's show's clip with. To let the people be engaged, to make this victory to be about them as well. Think about what we've seen from the best of the best over the last, couple of decades or more. There wasn't this level of engagement. There wasn't this level of we're all in this together. It was more about building up walls and fences and trenches and keep your distance from me. I'm doing what I'm doing to give you what you want. Now give me my space, my privacy, and my rewards from what I accomplished. That's not what we're seeing from Bryson DeChambeau. This is the guy that instead of people questioning, well, I saw him signing autographs after his round for a long time, but was that all about playing up to the cameras? What you saw from Bryson was not about playing up to the cameras because he didn't have to do any of that. He still would have left Pinehurst number 2 being called the champion of the people without taking all the time that he took to engage everybody and do what he did. Was he aware of the cameras there? Sure he is, because he admitted he's a showman. That's part of who he is now. That's part of the revelation that we've gotten to see. Okay, Dom, if you don't mind, let me pull you in here because I'm dying to find out what we're hearing from the audience, what we're hearing from the people, and depending upon where you're catching the Fairways of Life show today, you can log on to the Fairways of Life show's YouTube channel. Please make sure that you are subscribed there, and please click the like button. We have already picked the winner for the Ford set of irons from Wilson. And next up, I'm going to give you, I think I'm going to do TaylorMade driver. So anyway, but that's aside from that. Dom, what are you hearing from the people? I'm really curious to hear what the responses are.
Overwhelmingly positive with regards to Bryson. G. Willis writes, in my view, Bryson's performance was exceptional, considering the additional burden and effort of fan engagement. Bryson did great stuff after his win, Paul says. I've never seen a major winner do that That's amazing, Shay says. That was in reference to the video you saw of him talking to the fans and stuff. Let's see. Again, there's so much stuff coming in, and we do appreciate it. I'm just trying to cruise around to find what I can. Bryson's YouTube channel gives him another outlet, which only helps golf. What a victory by Bryson DeChambeau. Bryson pulled off the best win in humble victory. The tour needs to learn from that, he says. I think, again, there's also a lot of live and tour stuff coming in, of course, as there would be. But again, overwhelmingly positive stuff coming in. I haven't seen anything come in, Matt, that was negative. I think everybody enjoyed how things unfolded yesterday, nervous or otherwise, pressure or otherwise, and coming out on the other side, a stunning win by a great man and golfer. Well done, Bryson, they're writing. Great win for golf, bringing the golf word together. Love the emotion, great champion. Bryson did say the best fans in golf were there, and they were. Bryson's determined and passionate spirit produced that winning bunker shot on 18. Again, there's so much stuff coming in, Matt. I mean, I could just, I'm scrolling, but I could read comments like that nonstop. All this positivity surrounding Bryson. I know I tend to ramble, but I just have 3 quick thoughts with regard to this and what you were just saying and Bryson there. The first is, I think Bryson's the first golfer in a while. I'm hesitant to say since Arnold Palmer, because that's a bold statement, but who recognizes the entertainment value of what we have at our disposal here. And he is leaning into that full bore. He has got 700,000 subscribers on YouTube, 300,000+ subscribers on X. He's over 1 million, well over 1 million in social media following. And he is connecting like other golfers haven't connected, at least recently. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, right? I feel like Brooks is very well liked as well. But that's not his personality. His personality isn't to lean into the crowd, to be all with the fans. Bryson, you can have both of these things at the same time, in my opinion. And then the other thing that I wanted to say is, and I don't want to go off, I don't want to go off on like a fork in the road. But Andrew, can you play the winning putt again and his reaction to the winning putt? Listen, I don't know nothing from nothing, Matt. Okay? Nothing from nothing. But we have got to figure out how that gets in the Ryder Cup. We can't keep that off the Ryder Cup. I don't know what the answer is. I'm not on anybody's side, but we've got to figure that out. That has to be in the Ryder Cup. Full stop. How can you argue against that?
Yeah, my hope is, it's funny because I was doing a golf correspondent for CBS Sports radio network, and I was on last night, and they were asking me about Bryson's significance, given the fact that he plays for LIV, and we know that LIV and the PGA Tour are, according to various accounts, and as I mentioned to you earlier in the program, advancing. And he said in the clip that we had played for you guys about how he's hoping that the future of the game, that they come together. I think his victory actually puts even more pressure on the bodies to get something done, to make something happen. So that not only in a Ryder Cup, but also more frequently, we get an opportunity to see a competition like this. And to Dom's comment, to follow up on it, you used Brooks Koepka as an example, which was a good example, I think, about saying he's not a Bryson type guy. He's not going to engage the same way that Bryson does. That's fine. You can have different personalities, just like you noted going back and saying, well, Arnold Palmer engaged with the people in a different way than, say, even Jack Nicklaus did. Arnold Palmer wanted to be amongst the people. He wanted to be thrust right into the middle of them like Bryson. And so it goes back to this same line of thinking that I was saying to you guys in the last segment, where did you think that Bryson, seriously, did you think a year ago, 2 years ago, maybe more, that Bryson would be the guy that could be bringing the game back together. And I don't mean to make more of it than what fairly should be there, but I'm saying from the standpoint of going, I think right now, everyone that loves the game, even if you're heartbroken, that you're some huge fan of, say, Rory McIlroy, and you're heartbroken with the results, you still can look at what was accomplished from Bryson and the fact that he shared his joy with everyone that wanted to partake in it. It was an incredibly cool experience. Okay, so when we come back, let's talk about Rory McIlroy. I promised you that I would, and I'm curious to get your reactions to that as well. Thank you so much for your engagement, folks. Make sure you hit the like button if you are with us on YouTube, and make sure that you have subscribed because I do want to give away that TaylorMade driver coming up next, and I know it's going to be another huge campaign. We'll have to figure out the logistics of that, Dom, because we fly out to Ireland at the end of this week, and I won't be back until after the Open. But we'll get all that worked out. Right after we come back to this break, though, we do want to talk about how do we figure out and work out our emotions that surround what happened with Rory McIlroy. Stay with us.
I got ball fit in 2000 and went on a little run. Then Bridgestone fit me again, and I went on another run. I just got fit again for the new Tour BX. The ball fitting's been helping me. Will it help you?
Boyne Golf provides the ultimate world-class golf destination with 10 championship-caliber courses spanning 3 resorts. Centered in Michigan's northern Lower Peninsula, the courses are the products of some of the game's masters, including Robert Trent Jones Sr., Arthur Hills, and Donald Ross. From the all-inclusive vacation packages, elite instruction with the Boyne Golf Academy, tournaments, and so much more, Boyne Golf truly offers an unrivaled Michigan golf vacation experience. Just log on to BoyneGolf.com.
I think when you're training for other sports, or why most people go to the gym is so that they can have muscles and be strong and be healthy. And a lot of the reason why they struggle to play golf is their body doesn't move properly for them to be able to hit a golf ball. And when you're training for golf, it's a little bit different because you're focused more on flexibility and mobility and being strong in motion. When you're able to kind of have a warm up and have a workout routine and kind of gradually build up to where you're training your body to move properly, yeah, you're going to get a lot of big dividends on the golf course.
PGA Tour Superstore pros aren't born. They're made. Every January, hundreds of associates talk to the top manufacturers, learn about the latest clubs, test the newest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together, hit over 100,000 balls, all so they can get you the perfect fit.
What if we started a company and the company was under no time constraints, no financial constraints? The one constraint is their clubs had to be exceptional performers and much better than any other alternative. I was told time and again it'll never work. It worked like a house of fire. And I'll tell you what, I think our customers love it. BXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Stride by Zero Friction, the first of its kind personal caddy. Walk in comfort and style with Stride's remote and follow me technology. The Stride handles almost any terrain, and its 54-hole range will last all day. The lightweight design and removable front wheels makes it simple to handle. Plus, it easily fits golf carts. Pick up your Stride today at a local PGA Tour Superstore near you or at zerofriction.com/Stride. Stride, your personal caddy.
Rory's one of the best to ever play. And being able to fight against a great like that is pretty special. For him to miss that putt, I'd never wished it on anybody. It just happened to play out that way, and he'll win multiple more major championships. There's no doubt, and I think that fire in him is going to continue to grow. And I have nothing but respect for how he plays the game of golf, because to be honest, when he was climbing up the leaderboard and he was 2 ahead, I was like, uh-oh. But luckily, things went my way today.
gracious position by Bryson DeChambeau talking about Rory McIlroy, who he beat by 1 stroke at the 124th U.S. Open at Pinehurst, course number 2. The putt that he was referring to, the context, was the putt at 18. But if you went to 15, if you went, say, even the putt at 16, right? As Justin Ray told us, 496 for 496 from 3 feet. It seemed as though troubles with the putter, that was at 18, at the worst possible times was a demon that had no longer possession of Rory McIlroy, but it reared its head at the worst possible times at this U.S. Open. Rory ended up bogeying 3 of his final 4 holes. He had a scramble for the par that he made at 17. That's what sealed his fate, to ensure that he lost by 1. But to Bryson's comment that, and there you can see the card that illustrates the same, he just leaked oil coming in. Now, was that because he hasn't won in 10 years and the weight of that was upon his shoulders? In other words, was this a choke? The numbers would indicate the same. There are many that will be quick to his defense. The golf media establishment will take that role. There's little doubt in my mind to say, no, this wasn't. Don't use that the C word. This was about, the game of golf, and these things happen in the game of golf. You still saw 3 bogeys in the final 4 holes. This video you're watching right now, Jay Busby is the source of it. This was Rory leaving. It didn't address the media. He got a lot of criticism online for that. This part of it, I kind of have this feeling that he was so disappointed he just couldn't do it. But I did see comments from people that I thought had merit too. They were like, this was a huge opportunity where you had this sharp contrast between Bryson becoming the golfer of the people, right? Where Rory McIlroy, who is so popular and has such crazy wild support from the people, there he is as he was waiting to see how his fate played out, a fate that he no longer had possession of in his own hands. And you can see how dejected he looks in that photo. And then, of course, this is from Jason Sobel with photos from, I presume, his mobile phone with pictures of Rory leaving. But the comment I was talking about where someone was saying, this was an opportunity for Rory McIlroy to also show a bridge and to be there to shake Bryson's hand and say, well done, maybe I'll get you next time. But instead, he was just overcome by the moment. Now, I expect that we're going to hear from Rory soon enough. And I fully anticipate, because of who Rory actually is, that he's going to say, look, I'm sorry. I just couldn't speak at that time. I was too overcome by the emotions. Rory is pretty honest about those things. So, Dom, I'm curious about what you're hearing from the people. I know you've got the question out there to say, is this just another stumble? Or is this a sign of something deeper, like maybe the end of a run for Rory McIlroy? What are you hearing from the people in terms of your survey and comments?
Question of the day, officially, rereading it. Can Rory McIlroy overcome another heartbreaking loss, or is this the end? Obviously, that's a bit dramatic the way that's phrased, but you know what I mean. Is it too much? Is it all too much? Is this just something he can't overcome with the pressure you were referring to? 3 options. First one is he's done. It is too much. The next one is he's fine. He'll be fine. It's just golf. And then I gave a third option of just don't care. Maybe people just don't care. I don't care about this question. I don't care about Rory. Who cares? Right now, 49%. I got to be honest with you, Matt. This surprised me a little bit. 49% say he'll be fine. He's going to be fine. It's no big deal. And only 25% are saying he's done. It's too much pressure. He's done. It's over. So I think that's interesting. I anticipated more people. I don't know what you thought, but I anticipated more people would be thinking that it's too much for him and that he'd be done. But that's not the case. I mean, if you look at his major championships, I know we don't have a graphic for this, but I mean, I'm looking at his major championships since 2015, since his last victory when he won the Open in 2014. He won the PGA in 2014. If you look at every subsequent year, he has had a top 10 finish or multiple top 10 finishes in major championships every single year since that time.
Yeah.
I mean, in most cases, multiple. 2015, a 4th and a 9th. 2016, a 10th and a 5th. 17, 7th and 4th. 18, a 5th and a 2nd. 19, an 8th and a 9th. 20, a 5th and I mean, this is, in 2022, a 2nd and 8th, a 5th and a 3rd. A runner-up in 23 at the U.S. Open. Again, of course, a runner-up yesterday. I mean, you keep knocking on the door. Eventually, even if the pressure is crushing, even if it might be too much, if you keep doing that, Matt, aren't you just going to fall backwards into winning? It's just going to happen by chance, is it not?
Yeah, first, there's a lot of things to answer here. First of all, to your results, once again, the greatest audience in the world, I think the people nailed it. And I agree with them with the perspective that they have on Rory McIlroy, where the vast majority are saying, no, he's going to get by this. There's no doubt in my mind that this one is very, very painful, even by evidence, but with the actions that we saw from Rory himself. There is no doubt in my mind that this will also leave scar tissue. And there's also no doubt in my mind that what we saw, the nervy finish, was not simply because he hasn't won in 10 years a major championship. I also do think it's the accumulation of the years and the wear and tear, if you please, that goes along with that in those close calls. To the point that you're talking about with what Rory has accomplished, though, this from the stats that we get following tournaments. Rory McIlroy records his 11th runner-up finish on the PGA Tour and 4th in a major championship, including back-to-back U.S. Opens. He becomes the 4th player since 1920 with 6 consecutive top 10 finishes at the U.S. Open, joining Ben Hogan with 12 from 1940 to 1956, Bobby Jones with 7 from 1920 to 1926, and Jack Nicklaus with 6 from 1977 to 1982. So as to what this means, I think, for Rory McIlroy moving forward, a couple of things. Obviously, the pressure of closing at a major had an impact on Rory McIlroy. And again, I know that there's going to be people that have the discussion that shrug their shoulders and go, this is just golf. This happens in golf. This to me was more than just golf. This is about a player, a world-class player, a player that at many times has been described as the best player in the world in time and context, right? That could not hold it together in those finishing holes. That bogeyed 3 of his 4 finishing holes. And as I mentioned earlier in the program, concerningly, there were a few demons that snuck back into his game, namely the putter. That looked like it had been something that had been resolved. We keep putting up the X that was posted by Justin Ray, 496 of 496 from 3 feet. But when the 3 feet meant the absolute most during that time span, he was unable to convert. It wasn't exactly 3 feet through a few of those putts, but I'm using it in a broader brush to explain. That was a problem. So what that leads me to is Royal Troon. We have one more major left in 2024. And if right now, if the question had been, question of the day, if you please, Dom, if the question of the day today had been, do you think Rory can win at Royal Troon? My answer emphatically is yes. However, I don't think Rory out in front, unless he has a considerable lead, would be the Rory that will be the Rory that will win at Royal Troon. I actually think that if Rory is trailing by 1 or 2, if he is the pursuer instead of the pursued in that instance, I think there's a much better chance of Rory closing. But Rory was hitting the ball so well all week, even right from the opening round where he was burning multiple edges. He easily could have been 8 under in that opening round. The putts just weren't dropping at that time. So for Rory McIlroy at Royal Troon, do I think that this destroyed him in terms of his major championship pursuit? No. Do I think it will fuel him? Yes. Do I think that there are some parts of the ship that are taking on water that need to be shored up? Yeah, in as much as they can be, given, again, circumstance, if it repeats itself. That's why I think if he's coming slightly from behind, his chances are far better. As to what we're hearing from the people, though, Dom, I know you're getting responses in, so let's hear it.
Yeah, obviously there's a ton coming in about Rory on both sides of it. That putt on, Paul writes, that putt on 18 reminded me of Doug Sanders at St. Andrews. Surf Sass says, if Rory didn't have the yips under pressure, he'd have 10 majors, another 10 majors. Rough effort for Rory, they say. NBT3 writes, I felt bad for him. Greg says, Rory had a perfect opportunity to endear himself with the fans, but he's just not mature enough to get past it.
Well, he wasn't maybe in the moment.
Writes,
I would agree with that, yeah.
Chase writes, he's gracious 99% out of 100 times. I got to give him a break on this one. I'm sure he's referring to
that's kind of how I'm feeling.
That's
what I'm saying.
Car and driving away. The golf press should ignore him, they're writing. Rory needs to learn that there's more to life than golf. I think that's what he's learned pretty brutally over the last 2 years.
Well, you know what? I don't know what
there's been more going on off the course than on.
But at the time when he was running through his height of his prowess, would you have said the same thing about Tiger Woods? Or was it because golf is their life that they perform the way that they do? Right? So I don't know if that assessment is not one that I necessarily agree with. That this, you got to learn that life is about more than golf. Well, for these guys, their life is golf. If that balance helps them perform better, more power to them. That's great. But I don't think we can broad brush and hit him with that tag. I don't think that's fair.
So to that point, let's not forget Rory's been addressing major issues in his life off the links, plus everything that's been going on with PIF and the meetings and the board over the last couple years. Let's see here. Everyone's going to forget about this in 2 days. Just all of it, everything. 24-hour news cycle. U.S. Open never happened. I'll just move on.
That's also not true. These events reverberate, echo through time. Look at how often we were reliving what happened in 1999 with Payne Stewart.
Derek writes, total choke job. Full stop. Sean writes, this is not a one-off. He put the ball in the wrong place above the hole. Had his approach been better, the putt would have been easier. I do think, again, for what it's worth, again, we saw Bryson miss a short one on 15. I heard a player in a practice round, because obviously I was there. When I was on, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday, and I was there. One of the players referred to the greens as, quote, like putting on marble. I mean, that's going to make it difficult. So I do think the course has something to do with this in terms of the difficulty.
I don't think that.
There's a lot more.
What we're talking about.
There's a lot more coming in here, but I want to end on this one, which I think is the correct one to end on. Without Rory, there's no epic battle on Major Championship Sunday, and I agree with that. And the pressure and the excitement and the nervousness that we've been discussing this entire program, it only works because they were in the crucible together, and it was a tandem effort down the stretch of those last 4 or 5
I agree with
holes.
that, but the truth of the matter is that in this time, Rory was consumed by the moment, and Bryson defined it. It's that simple. That's what took place. I know we ran long today, guys. Thank you so much for your company. Tomorrow, we are going to be live at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll be broadcasting, again, live around the world here on our Fairways of Life channel. We're also going to be broadcasting live on NBC Sports Golf channel. Looking forward to that. We're going to go deeper into, we've got tons of stuff still to react to with all of you guys, including, as I mentioned, the best of with Bryson DeChambeau, because his comments are so compelling, so telling, and in some ways likely to define golf as we move forward, at least for the coming weeks. Remember, we still have one more men's major left, Royal Troon at the Open coming up, and my journey to there actually kicks off at the end of this week. Flying over to Ireland at the end of the week. We've got a couple of weeks, 2 different trips, a couple of weeks.
I'm going too.
With fans coming to Ireland. Dom's going to be over there too. He's all excited about it, as I am, to to show him so much of these links golf courses. And then from there, we'll be heading to Royal Troon for the Open, where, of course, we'll be broadcasting live throughout the course of the week and sharing the experience with all of you guys. So much to consider, so much to contemplate, and very much looking forward to the week that lies in store right here at the Travelers Championship, the signature event, travelerschampionship.com. Tickets are still available. If you guys want to come to what I think is the most unique PGA Tour event anywhere in the Northeast, and that argument could be made for even farther and wider than that, because you're so close to the players. But this tournament stands deliciously in contrast to the U.S. Open, because everything that you have at the U.S. Open that defines it, from setup and all of that drama that plays out, we have the same drama that plays out here at the Travelers Championship, but for very different reasons. You need to go low, and that's what makes it so much fun. TravelersChampionship.com. We'll see you at 8 a.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. Until then, thanks for your company, folks. Be well. Goodbye for now.